before there were borders, before there were cities. There were the steppes, an ocean of grass stretching from the Caspian to the Altai, where the wind howls like memory and survival depends not on strength alone, but on loyalty. For thousands of years, nomads roamed this endless expanse, shepherds, traders, warriors, their lives bound to their flocks, their families, and their freedom. But in that vast, untamed world, danger was constant. Wolves stalked in the dark. Thieves crept beneath the moonlight. And so humanity called upon a guardian, not one they tamed, but one they earned. From the meeting of man and wild beast came the Alabai, the Central Asian shepherd dog, born not from breeding programs or selective show standards, but from survival itself. Only the strongest endured the cold. Only the most loyal were trusted with life. Only the bravest faced the wolves and returned. Over generations, those who proved worthy became something extraordinary. Dogs with bodies carved by endurance, minds sharpened by instinct, and souls bonded by duty. In the dawn light of the ancient steppe, you could see them. Massive, broad-headed silhouettes pacing the camp perimeter, silent as stone, patient as time. They were not chained. They did not need to be. Their loyalty was not obedience, it was understanding. The Alabai knew its purpose before it was ever named. It guarded not just sheep and goats, but the children who slept beneath the stars. It stood between predator and peace, between chaos and the fragile order of life. When wolves approached, the Alabai did not rush blindly into battle. It waited, watching, reading the wind. It knew when to stand, when to strike, and when to wait. Because true guardians do not react, they decide. Every scar on its body was a record of victory. Every rumble in its chest, a warning older than words. The tribes came to see them as protectors, sent by the earth itself. Dogs born from the same dust that carried the horses of Genghis Khan, the same soil that bore empires and erased them again. Some legends say that the gods gave the first Alabai to a shepherd who saved his village from a wolf pack. Others claim the Alabai's spirit was forged in lightning, half beast, half guardian spirit, its duty eternal. But myths aside, one truth endured. Without the Alabai, the people of the steppes could not have survived. It guarded through blizzards that froze bone and sandstorms that blinded eyes. It fought not for glory, but for belonging. And when dawn returned, it lay quietly beside the herds once more, as if nothing had happened. For thousands of years, across what is now Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and beyond, the Alabai remained unchanged, untouched by modern breeding, unmoved by fashion or fame. It didn't need the world's recognition, it already had its respect. In its silence lay authority. In its gaze lay warning. And in its presence lay peace. Because even in the wildest corners of the earth, there was always one rule that no man or wolf dared test. Where the Alabai stands, fear does not pass. The sun rises hard and fast on the steppe. There is no warning, no mercy, only heat by day and frost by night. In this land, every life is a test, and every creature must prove its worth. For the nomads, survival meant movement. They traveled with their herds, sheep, camels, horses, crossing hundreds of miles of grass and dust. Each tribe was a world of its own, and around every world stood a silent wall of guardians, the Alabai. By day they walked beside the herds, heads high, eyes always scanning the horizon. By night they stood watch at the edge of firelight, their shapes barely visible, their ears attuned to the breath of the wind. When danger approached, they did not bark without reason. They measured the threat first. A wolf's shadow, the distant growl of a predator, the echo of hooves that did not belong. The Alabai knew before any human did, and when it was time, it moved dash, swift, silent, unstoppable. A wolf could kill a sheep, a pack could destroy a herd. But even wolves learned to respect the Alabai. They called it Bozkurtun Dushmana, the enemy of the wolf, because when an Alabai gave chase, it didn't stop until the danger was gone, or the ground was quiet. To the nomads, this wasn't just a dog. It was an ally of blood. Children grew up playing beside it. Women slept peacefully knowing its shadow patrolled beyond the tents. Men rode into darkness with faith that when they returned, their families and herds would still be safe. It guarded more than livestock. It guarded life itself. Along the Silk Road, where traders moved from Persia to China, the Alabai's reputation spread. Caravans hired men for skill, horses for speed, and Alabai for protection. They walked beside camels through endless desert, their paws carving paths across centuries. At every stop, merchants told the same stories of how these dogs fought off raiders in the night, how they could sense danger before it struck, how no thief ever touched a tent guarded by an Alabai and lived to boast of it. In Turkmen villages, the Alabai became a symbol of strength. It was said that a man who owned a brave Alabai feared neither wolf nor man. Even kings respected them. Some were gifted as tokens of alliance, not ornaments, but oaths made flesh. They were never trained with cruelty. They didn't need commands shouted or chains pulled. They learned by watching, by growing up among the herds, by reading the world itself. An Alabai pup learned responsibility before it learned play. By the time it reached maturity, it knew the smell of its flock, the sound of its family's laughter, and the difference between what must be guarded and what must be destroyed. Their loyalty was absolute, but never blind. They followed because they believed. They fought because they chose to. And in that choice lay their nobility. No one owned an Alabai, they partnered with one. That bond was built not with food, but with respect. A shepherd who mistreated his dog soon found himself without one. For an Alabai could sense dishonor the way others sense fear. They were gentle with children, tender with the young, but merciless to any threat. Their jaws, wide and bone-crushing, were not weapons of violence, but tools of defense. Their bodies, massive and unyielding, could stop a charging wolf mid-stride. Yet, when the night was still and the fires burned low, you could see an Alabai lying quietly beside a child, its breath calm, its eyes half closed, its heart still listening. That was its gift, power that served peace, and as generations passed, as empires rose and vanished across the steppes, the Alabai remained, unchanged and unforgotten. Because kingdoms may crumble, but guardians endure. The nomads had a saying, "When man sleeps, God watches, and when God rests, the Alabai takes his place." Power without control is chaos, but the Alabai was never chaotic. It is strength, disciplined, power with purpose. To understand the Alabai, you must first understand the land that made it. A place of extremes, burning summers, freezing winters, and predators that killed without warning. Only those who learned balance survived, and so the Alabai's body became balance made flesh. Broad chest for endurance, massive skull for leverage and bite strength. Bones thick as ironwood, wrapped in muscle built for both speed and resistance. Its gait is slow, deliberate, unhurried. But when it decides to move, it becomes unstoppable. It doesn't sprint. It advances. Every motion is measured. Every step says, I am here. I am watching. I am enough. Its coat, thick, double-layered, deflects both frost and flame. Its eyes, deep-set and calm, see not just what moves, but what intends to move. And its jaw, one of the most powerful in the canine world, exists not for cruelty, but for finality. An Alabai does not fight for dominance. It fights for duty. When it attacks, it ends conflict. When it guards, it prevents it. Violence for this dog is not instinct, it is responsibility. That is why true Alabais rarely bark. They do not waste energy on threats. They act only when the moment demands it. Their silence is not fear. It is control. There is something ancient in the way they hold their ground, a kind of calm that comes only from knowing your own strength, and never needing to prove it. Even the wolves learned this lesson. They could sense it in the air, that quiet, unflinching confidence. Many times a pack would circle the herd, see the Alabai standing there like a living fortress, and melt back into the dark without testing its will. Because predators know something humans often forget. True danger rarely makes noise, but beyond muscle lies mind. The Alabai thinks, it calculates, it decides, it reads terrain, it reads posture, it reads intent. If a stranger approaches, it doesn't rush blindly to attack. It watches, it judges, and only when the line is crossed, when danger becomes certain, does it move. This intelligence is what separates the guardian from the soldier. A soldier acts on command, a guardian acts on understanding. That is the essence of the Alabai's spirit, obedient to no one, loyal to those who earn it. Its confidence borders on regal. Its independence feels almost human. And yet, beneath all that power, there is gentleness, a quiet awareness that life is sacred, that its role is not to destroy, but to preserve. That's why among shepherds, the Alabai was never chained. A chained guardian cannot think. A chained protector cannot decide. Freedom was part of its training, to see, to judge, to act from wisdom, not fear. Even its play reflects this balance. A young Alabai doesn't run wildly. It mimics guarding behavior. It stands between others, intercepts motion, learns presence before it learns speed. Everything about it says control. Everything about it says purpose. To witness an Alabai walk through a herd is to understand harmony. Sheep parting around it like water around stone, horses lowering their heads as it passes. It doesn't demand respect. It radiates it. And when the night comes, when silence drapes the steppe like a shroud, the Alabai stands at its post. Alone, unmoving, unafraid. No command, no applause, just duty, because that is what it was born for, to exist between peace and chaos, to be the invisible line that danger cannot cross. In its strength, there is humility. In its silence, there is authority. And in its spirit, there is something mankind has nearly forgotten: honor. Empires came and went. Borders shifted like sand under wind. But the Alabai remained. For over 4,000 years it walked beside humanity, not in palaces or cities, but in the wilderness that made kings tremble. It watched the rise of Persia, the march of Alexander, the thunder of Mongol horses beneath Genghis Khan. It saw armies burn across Asia. And when they were gone, it returned to its flock as if war had never happened. Because the Alabai does not serve empires, it serves duty. Through the Silk Road, traders carried silk, salt, and stories. Among those stories, the name Alabai spread, whispered with reverence, the dog that guarded caravans through deserts and mountains that faced wolves, snow leopards, and men alike. In every region it touched, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, and beyond, it adapted to survive. The harsh cold of the north hardened its coat. The blazing heat of the south tempered its patience. No matter where it lived, the land carved it but never broke it. When the Russian Empire expanded, soldiers encountered the Alabai for the first time. Dogs that stood taller than any mastiff, that didn't bark, didn't back away, and could stop a bear in its tracks. To some, it was an enigma. To others, a treasure. By the time the Soviet Union rose, the Alabai had become more than folklore. It was recognized as a working breed, a protector of livestock, property, and military outposts. But the Soviets, obsessed with control, could never fully control this. They tried to measure it, to weigh, classify, and define the undefinable. They called it the Central Asian Ovcharka. They bred it for function. Yet even under human direction, its soul remained wild. For while the state claimed ownership, the Alabai still answered only to its purpose, the ancient calling written in its blood. It guarded border stations along mountain ranges where no man could last a night. It stood watch at Soviet farms, protecting sheep from wolves as it had for millennia. And when the regime fell and everything the Soviets built crumbled into dust, the Alabai simply kept working. Because nations fall, but loyalty endures. In Turkmenistan, the Alabai became more than a guardian. It became heritage, a national treasure, a living symbol of strength, courage, and independence. Today, statues of Alabai rise in city squares, massive bronze forms gazing proudly over the land they once patrolled. Their images appear on stamps, murals, and even currency. Because to the people of Central Asia, the Alabai is not just a dog, it is identity. And yet the modern world tests all ancient things. Skyscrapers replaced tents, highways cut through the grasslands, the herds are fewer, the silence rarer. But still in the rural heartlands, the Alabai keeps its watch. It walks beside shepherds and farmers, guards homes and villages, and raises its young with the same stoic grace as its ancestors. In cities, it adapts again, a guardian of families instead of flocks. It protects homes with quiet vigilance. It senses strangers with the same intuition that once saved caravans. Its eyes, calm, unreadable, hold the same message they did 10 centuries ago. I see you. I understand you. I will protect what is mine. The Alabai does not belong to time. Time belongs to it. From nomadic fires to modern skylines, from dust trails to marble monuments, it has never lost the one thing that made it sacred, its unbroken duty to life. Empires rise, empires fall. But on the vast plains of Central Asia, the Alabai still stands, watching, waiting, guarding, as it always has. Because the past was never past for this breed, it is present, it is eternal. In a world obsessed with noise, the Alabai remains silent. It does not boast, it does not beg. It simply is. There's a kind of peace that follows it. A stillness that feels ancient, as if it carries the memory of the steppe in every heartbeat. To live with an Alabai is to live beside a force of nature. Not wild, not domesticated, but balanced perfectly between both. It doesn't rush to greet you with wagging tail or eager bark. It watches first, calm, patient, measuring who you are. Because love to an Alabai is not given freely. It is earned, and when it gives it, that love is forever. It doesn't see you as owner or master, but as part of the circle it was born to protect. It guards not because you command it to, but because it has chosen you as its duty. That choice is sacred. For the Alabai, loyalty is not emotion, it's existence. There are stories told in the villages of Alabai that stood between wolves and children, of those that refused food for days after their master's death, of dogs that would not leave the graves they once guarded in life. To outsiders, these stories sound like legend. To those who know the Alabai, they sound like truth. Because this is not a dog built to impress. It is a dog built to endure. When it walks beside you, it does so without fanfare. When it protects, it does so without cruelty. Its strength is not in domination, but in discipline. Even in danger, the Alabai does not panic. It moves with the certainty of a creature that has faced fear and found it unworthy. Its calm breaks only when all else depends on it. And when it strikes like history itself. Swift, precise, unrelenting. And when the danger passes, it does not celebrate. It simply returns to its place as if nothing ever happened. That quiet humility is the soul of the Alabai. It does not seek glory. It seeks peace, but it knows peace can only exist when someone is willing to guard it. That is its gift to humanity. The reminder that protection can be gentle, that strength can be silent, that love can exist without words. You don't teach an Alabai trust. You deserve it. And once you have it, it becomes part of you. Like the air you breathe, the ground beneath your feet, the sky that stretches endlessly above. Because the Alabai is not just beside you, it is with you. Even in stillness, you'll feel its gaze, steady, calm, knowing. It's not watching you, it's watching for you. There is no purer loyalty than that. And so, across the centuries, through the dust of the Silk Road, through the wars, the winters, and the quiet dawns, the Alabai's promise has never changed. As long as I stand, nothing will harm what is mine. That is not just protection. That is faith. And when you look into its amber eyes, you see not a pet, not even a dog, but something older, something eternal. The guardian spirit of the steppe, forged by wind and war, tempered by silence and loyalty. A creature that reminds us. Strength is not in how loud you roar, but in how quietly you stand your ground. The Alabai was born from dust, shaped by struggles, and destined for devotion. It has no need for fame, no desire for praise. It exists to protect, to endure, to belong. And as long as the wind still sweeps the plains, as long as herds still graze under open skies, as long as there are hearts worth guarding, the Alabai will be there, watching, waiting, guarding, not because it was told to, but because it was born to.